All right, so we will go ahead and get started. I'll start here with just a few housekeeping things. If you do have any questions, if you could please just type them into the chat and we will get those questions answered at the end. We do have Seth Wiersma. He is a clean air lawn care and clean air mosquito control franchise owner. And we've also got Kelly G. Yard. He is the founder and CEO of Clean Air Brands. So we will go ahead and get started. Today, we will be talking about the industry boom of the green industry boom, your business ownership path, franchise support and training, profitability and growth potential, why clean air brands, and Q&A at the end. So we'll go ahead and get started. I have the first question here. Seth, thanks for being here. The first question here I have is for you. How have you seen the demand grow for lawn care, mosquito control, and treatment services? This is maybe in your area. You can kind of describe where you are and what your area is. And also, in terms of trends and people seeking services, have you seen anything with emerging trends for people seeking those sustainable services?
Sure, thank you. So I'm based in Marietta, Georgia, just outside of Atlanta. And as you mentioned, we do operate our maintenance business, our treatment business, as well as our mosquito business. I'm seeing trends for all three increasing, and I think there's two areas that, really sort of emphasize that. One is poor customer service across the landscape industry. Most of the prospective customers I talk to are tired of seeing folks show up, walk in circles around their yard, spraying sort of aimlessly, and not necessarily doing anything with intent or purpose. That is a very common theme amongst prospective customers, is that, they're home, they see their Ring doorbell, and they see these folks out there not necessarily doing the job at the level that they would expect. Secondly, I think is increased awareness across the industry for more eco-friendly solutions. On the maintenance side, it's quieter solutions, it's lower emission solutions. On the treatment side, it's certainly finally better awareness for the health of their pets, the health of their children, what is getting tracked into their house, what is causing issues, health issues with their pets. And that goes beyond just their pets, but wildlife, the birds and the squirrels and the deer that are in their on their properties, the drinking water that from the runoff of various products that are getting used. And then on the mosquito side, it's again a more sustainable solution as it relates to being friendly to the bees. It's a big component of what we're trying to do here at Clean Air. And I think too, on the mosquito side, we see a lot of unsatisfied customers as it relates to folks just showing up, walking around the perimeter of the house with their loud gas blower, doing a fogger type application and hopping in their truck and leaving with no real concerted effort around looking for standing water to turn over pots and areas where mosquitoes might breed and things like that. So that would be my answer to those couple questions.
Thank you so much. Sorry, I was muted. And I have my next questions for you, Kelly. So as Seth mentioned, mosquito control and lawn care services are growing in terms of that green, sustainable aspect. And they're expected to grow over $1 billion between 2025 and 2023 as an industry as a whole. What factors do you see driving the demand for green businesses?
Yeah, sure. I see it following the footsteps of food. The food, meaning grocery stores and organics have climbed this kind of awareness wall already. And so, you've seen over the last 20, 25 years, a big movement from people buying, regular sort of any kind of food to a really thoughtful, we want to make sure how this is sourced and focus on organic sort of food. And that same mentality is what I think is going to happen with lawn care and pest control. And that's why we have the brands, positioned in front of that movement. It really has just gotten started. It really hasn't. The awareness is just the tip of the iceberg right now in terms of lawn care and mosquito control. That same customer that is shopping at Whole Foods or some natural grocer is still using chemicals on their lawn, still using chemicals with their pest control. They're driving around in a Tesla and they're shopping at Whole Foods, but they're treating their lawn like a Superfund site. And that isn't going to continue. The lights are going to come on. And that's really what's happening with lawn care and mosquito control to be able to grow like in this sector, to be able to grow like you're describing. And the trend is it's gradual, but it's also steady. And so we just see it every year that more and more people, customers, are just, the lights are turning on and they're saying, hey, why am I doing it this way? There's got to be something else out there. And so and that's part of our mission is, we need to give more people that choice. And for us to do that, we need more franchise owners. And, that's the beauty of our franchise model is it's very scalable. And that's the position where we're at right now is we have great people like Seth and a great core group of owners in place. We really know what we're doing. The services are dialed in, they work. You can see the customers are really happy. And where we need more people in more locations that be able to give that customer that choice.
Yeah, it's great. Thank you. We'll go ahead and move on to the business ownership paths. There are lots of paths people can choose when deciding to own a business. My first question is again for you, Seth. What were your biggest concerns when you decided to go the franchise route?
Yeah, I looked at a lot of different franchise opportunities when I was evaluating, my big career change I made. I looked at roofing opportunities. I looked at disaster recovery franchises. I even looked at a, beauty salon franchise. And ultimately, I thought that the opportunity to join something like a program like Clean Air was offering was going to fit within my value proposition for what I like to see changing around the industry in terms of just a better way to do things. And I looked at can I just spin up a business by myself? Certainly, but I looked into some of the data that you've probably researched yourself, Chrisanne, and coming up with this slide is just, being held accountable by a team. I think while not being pressured by a team was really important to me. Having the ability to draw on experiences from other owners, to, get together with those owners, to chat through, problems they've faced in the past and how they've overcome those was all, really important to me. And I think, again, if you break down a lawn care business at its, rawest element, it's, buy a truck and a trailer and throw some equipment on it and you've got a lawn care business. The reality is, sure, you can have a small lawn care business, but if you're looking to build a brand and build a presence within a community, I think you need to go at it in a very strategic way, and having the backing of, whether it be the accounting team, the other owners, the marketing team, all of that stuff really has become invaluable in terms of, scaling my business and growing it to something beyond just two guys and a truck. And quite frankly, I don't know, I work better in teams too. I would rather have somebody to reach out to talk through a challenge or a problem, than sort of sit in my own little vacuum and wonder if I'm doing things the right way. So, having the support, as I mentioned, the marketing, the accounting, and the billing type of support that you get from a franchise system, I think was invaluable to me in terms of like the tipping point of doing it on my own versus doing it, in a franchise environment.
Yeah, great. And I do have a question here in the chat. I'll go ahead and get that. We'll do that now, just because it is relevant. What are, Kelly, this one's maybe for you. What are the types of support that franchisees are offered?
Yeah, it's pretty broad, but Seth just kind of nailed the top three, which is financial support, help with billing, keeping you accountable to how you're doing financially, keeping you on the model financially so that your cash flow is where it should be, making sure you're caught up on, you're current with all your tax reporting and stuff like that. Making sure that everything's above board, nothing to worry about. Making sure you get paid. It's a big part of what we do. Is we have a very specific system for lawn care, billing and account receivable, where we're getting 99% of the work we do, we're getting paid on, and we're getting paid on in the exact month we do it. And so that's a big piece of it. So the owner doesn't have to worry about that kind of stuff. The other major areas are the team that Seth described, and you have kind of two different teams, well, three different teams really. You have a team that you build locally there, and you would have that without a franchise network. But then you have two other teams. You have the HQ team, which wakes up every day and says, "How can I support you? How can I make your business better?" And then you have the peer team, where you have other owners that So we work hard to make sure, whether it's face to face or over calls or whatever, there's a lot of interaction between the owners, because that's invaluable. They're not out there on their own. That's the beauty of the model, I think. And somebody that's a lone wolf that wants complete autonomy, 100% autonomy, should not do franchising, because there's things you have to give up to be part of the team. They're small things, in my opinion, but they do exist. And but if somebody, if you want to own your own business and have 95% autonomy and be part of a team, then franchising is a great model. And so the team is the second thing. And then the third thing is marketing. That's become just a massive thing lately. Give you an example. We have moved from individual websites like cleanairlawncareatlanta.com to one main website, because just maintaining a website's become so difficult. Ranking on Google is very difficult. There's just so much competition, and Google doesn't care if you're one guy in a truck, or if you're True Green with billions of dollars in revenue. Google doesn't care. They're going to go with what the best information, the most accurate, the most authentic, all of that. And to compete at that level, where you're actually going to get some driving some traffic to your site, or whatever you're trying to do out there, it's becoming harder and harder to do on a solo level. And so, for example, we just hired a digital marketing director, and he makes six figures. And if you're sitting there in, Marietta, Georgia, going, "Hey, how am I going to get more traffic?" Well, do you really have the cash flow and the budget to go hire that person, or part-time them even? So the beauty of the franchise model is you can pool resources together with that royalty payment and go get these people and scale up your team and have a much more effective marketing strategy or billing strategy, or whatever you're trying to do. And so, I think those are the three main areas, though. The fourth one I would say that Seth didn't touch on is just we're franchise model is much more effective in the resale in the sale of the business, in the exit. And so you have access to other people that might want to own that, already in the network, that might want to own your location, that you can easily sell to. And you also have a brand. You know, you're not just, it's not called Seth's Landscaping. It's called Clean Air Lawn Care. And over time, we build that brand up, and there's value, there's equity in that brand that then translates to the value you get when you go to sell your business.
Awesome. Great. Thank you. And Seth, real quick, I just have a question for you, but keeping the time, if we could kind of keep it as concise as possible. In terms of a challenge that you had when you first started, can you kind of describe what your biggest challenge was, and how did you navigate that? How was your support team helping you navigate that challenge, and kind of how did you get over that hurdle?
Sure. I mean, there's lots of, like, I call them day-to-day sort of micro challenges that you encounter. But for me, it was just sitting too far zoomed out and sort of analysis, paralysis by analysis, not making moves, not just doing. And it was really helpful to get input from those other owners, to get input from Cal, to really just go do, fail quickly, right? Make mistakes, learn from it, and move on. So it was a process of just getting the enormity of owning a new business and getting your first customers and buying the equipment and then finding employees and just tackling those things as they come at you, on a one-off basis. But I would say this, probably the single biggest challenge we as franchise owners face in this particular industry is labor. It's a tricky balance to keep really good employees, keep them happy, keep them working well, keeping them motivated. But you can do that. You can build a good team over time pretty quickly.
Yeah, great. Thank you. All right, moving on to profitability and growth potential. Seth, the first question I have is, again, for you. What financial factor should potential franchisees consider?
There's a bunch. I think, you're looking at some of the basic stuff, like what are going to be my startup costs? How much is a truck? How much is a trailer? How much is the equipment I need to satisfy the demands of my, kind of initial client base? As it relates to the franchise specifically, you're obviously looking at things like royalty rate, and you're looking at your territory acquisition fee. Then you kind of zoom out a little bit and you start looking at things like workers' comp and your insurance needs and things like that. But again, the nice part about, the model we have here is it's recurring revenue. So you're always building on your business each week, each month, each year. Your business sort of grows on itself, and you can adapt the needs of your business to that growth without taking necessarily big risks. You can take risks where you want to. I bought a third, territory along the way, there was some inherent risk with that, but I evaluated my options. I looked at what the revenue boost would be of adding that territory, and, made the decision pretty quickly. So I think, when you look at, where your sort of recurring costs are, it's going to be in the things like, looking at your labor costs, looking at your insurance, and understanding, what your royalty rate is, and what are the things you can do to, there's incentives with Clean Air to get your royalty rate reduced, which was something I advise every owner take advantage of. Get your assistant manager hired and, meet certain thresholds that will lower that royalty rate and allow you to, operate, more efficiently.
Great, thank you. And Kelly, a question for you. In terms of an HQ support, you in your role as CEO, but also your team's roles, how do the HQ employees help franchisees build profitable, scalable businesses?
Yeah, most of it is that accountability that Seth talked about at the beginning, and because the model isn't complicated. That's one of the beauties of it. It's straightforward. The labor piece gets complicated at times, but you know, we already know how to price it. We know how to do it, and the speed to do it at, and you know, it's a very simple model, and that's one of the strengths of it, I think. And so, you know, but people get off target. They kind of go down different paths, or they get, you know, maybe they develop bad habits with their employees and their labor gets too high, stuff like that. And so, you know, we have a person on our team, Don, who will, you know, go through a pro forma for you, go through your actual profit loss for you, and identify, hey, here's where you're on the model, here's where you're not on the model. And so then we know these areas that need to get worked on, and it's often labor. And then, you know, we get into specific solutions. And with our CRM, we can get into the exact truck, you know. And so now we're talking about not about your business, but kind of a slice of your business, a small business within your business, meaning that truck. And what's that truck doing? We can look at, okay, through the CRM, we can say, okay, this truck is creating 20% cash flow when we need 35. And so what's going on here? What's going wrong? Maybe our routing is bad or whatever. And then within that truck, you can get down to the day. You can say, what are we doing today? Monday's good, Tuesday's good, Wednesday's awful. What's going on Wednesday? And so the team alongside the CRM and understanding how to use the CRM, I'd say is the big piece with, you know, keeping the franchisee on the model and, you know, making sure that they're, you know, you shouldn't get into this to create a job. You should get into this to have a profitable business that's 6-figure income, and you're paying yourself, but you also have profit on top of that. And that's definitely what we're trying to keep the franchise owner focused on.
That's great information. That's great. Then I have just one more slide before we go into a couple other questions here that we have in the chat. But Clean Air Brands, you know, it's a unique, you know, the mosquito control and the lawn care. Kelly, what differentiates Clean Air from other franchise options in the home services, or maybe, you know, other industries as well?
Sure. I mean, I think that one thing is, Seth talked about it too, is, you know, we're providing structure and we're support, but we're not telling our owners what to do. They have a lot of autonomy. You know, it's not like other franchise brands that are very rigid. We're very flexible and open to innovation and open to new ideas and open to trying different things out. And that's been the spirit of the company. That's how we succeeded. You know, we started mowing lawns with electric mowers, you know, when electric equipment was awful. And, you know, so that spirit of the company where we've had to innovate from the very beginning is something that I want to hold on to and make sure we continue to do. And so I think that's attractive to the right sort of business owner, somebody that's got a lot of independent thought and creativity, and they've got a lot of entrepreneurial spirit within them. They can come into our system and be that way, and we're not going to interfere with it. And so I think that's a big plus. I think also just the way the brand is 100% committed to doing it the healthy way, the organic way, the natural way. You know, the people we compete against, the other brands, the national brands we compete against in mosquito control and lawn care, a lot of them offer organic, you know. But then when you break it down and you listen to their sales pitch, you listen to what they're actually trying to get you to do as a customer, that's not what they want you to do. They want you to use chemicals. And so they make more money on chemicals. And so our brand doesn't even offer that. You know, it's pure in that regard. It's authentic. And I think that the customer can see that. And so they trust it more. And we're also just better at doing it. Somebody that's offering organic on the side is just not going to be as good at delivering a beautiful lawn as we are going to be, because that's our only way to do it. You know, we have to wake up every day and figure out how to do it. So I'd say those are the two biggest areas.
Yeah, that's great. And we do have quite a few questions here, so we'll get to those right now, the last 5 minutes here. What in terms, and this is, I'm going to ask this one first, not necessarily in the order they're asked, just because it kind of piggybacks, Kelly, on what you're saying is what kinds of feedback, and maybe this is maybe more for you, Seth, since you're in it every day, but whoever wants to answer it, go for. But what kind of feedback do you get from customers regarding their lawn's appearance versus neighbors' non-organic services, like a green color or whatever else?
Sure. I mean, I've got, just a quick, real example is from a customer that just emailed me yesterday. They sent out, I have two customers in sort of a retirement community of about 35 homes. Their 2 yards are the healthiest looking yards. They're greening up. We're in a dormant season right now, so all of our Bermuda and zoysia is coming out of that sort of dead tan looking color and turning green. The two lawns are next door to each other in this neighborhood. And she said, Seth, our two lawns look better and are greening up faster than every single lawn in the neighborhood. And people are knocking on my door asking if we can join. And she sent me a spreadsheet yesterday with 9 new prospective customers that want estimates for treatment. So
that's incredible.
Yeah, it's a really a good data point, in terms of it. And then I would say just go look at some of the reviews on some of the owner web pages, and you'll see that tells the story. People love the quiet. A lot of people work from home now. Not having a gas blower or a gas, hedge trimmer outside your window it's night and day when you realize what it can be without gas.
Thank you, Seth. And then a couple of questions. How big, Kelly, this one, if you could just kind of give the answer, because we do have a lot to go through. How big are the areas that can be purchased? What is a territory?
Yeah, we use zip codes, and it's in most cities or urban areas, it's probably 4 or 5 zip codes and 75,000 households, about 200,000 people.
Great. And then in terms of Mosquito, profitability and the size, can you, both of you, I guess, maybe whoever wants to touch on this, what percentage of the business is Mosquito?
So for me personally, it is the most profitable part of our business. However, it is the smallest segment of my business, and it is where I want to grow my business the most. Treatment and Mosquito is really where I'm focusing my growth. But Mosquito is as profitable a business line as you could get. And it's ripe for the taking because there's not a lot of good service providers out there that are doing it safely either.
Right. The next couple of questions are on customer acquisition. What kind of local advertising is happening? What kind of local advertising support? And also, what advertising do you recommend for an area?
It's a combination of lots of stuff. It's yard signs, it's signs on, telephone poles, it's emailing customers, it's asking for referrals, it's digital marketing. It is probably the single most strategic part of the business that you'll focus on. And there is no one way to do it. There's door hangers and the other options I mentioned, but it's really a combination of all those things and then doing them consistently.
And do you get support from the HQ on those strategies?
Yeah, emphatically. It is and without it, I think that would probably be the area I might struggle the most because it's very nebulous, the marketing, world. So you got to be willing to try different things and strategize with your team to come up with good options.
Yeah, great. I got 2 more questions here. The next question is for Kelly. Do you have a call center where customers can call to schedule appointments, sign up for services, billing, etc.? How do customers get that stuff done?
We don't. We tried to roll that out, thought it would be effective, and most of our franchise owners didn't like it. They prefer to talk to the customer themselves. And our best locations, like Seth is a great example. Our franchise owner is the salesperson. They're the person talking to the customer on the front end. And so that's a very important, it's a big positive, I think, as long as the franchise owner picks up the phone or responds to the email, is that they're just coming directly to the person. Like, you can have a long-term relationship with me. You can talk to me whenever you want. Here I am.
Yeah, great. And then the final question here is, it says, interesting point. This was about the organics. Interesting point about the know-how on how to do organics. It is very different. And does Clean Air Lawn Care and Clean Air Mosquito Control have proven methods that are trained upon? Is there training for organic treatments and mosquito control? Kelly?
Yeah, I mean, we have a bunch of, we have a week-long training when somebody first starts, and the main focus is on building that knowledge of organics and understanding how the science works. We have books that are required to read, and then we have a system where somebody can copy it and just go out and do it without really knowing what they're doing yet. They can just follow the steps, and it'll create a lawn that's, I'd say, 90% where we want to get it there. And then that last 10%, you know, the franchise owner has to learn that. And a lot of it's local knowledge. You know, what specifically works in Marietta, Georgia is going to be a lot different than works in Seattle, Washington. And so that hyper local knowledge, as this product really works well in April, you know, understanding all of that stuff, that takes some time. But what we offer the franchise owner to start with is they're going to come out and they're going to make happy customers. They might not be as happy as the one that Seth's talking about, you know, that's offering 9 new customers in the neighborhood and his lawns look the best. That's probably has a lot to do with Seth and his expertise too, that he has built up over time. But what's not going to happen when somebody comes out with our expertise from the training is they're not going to get bad reviews. They're not going to have unhappy customers. They're not going to fall on their face and have the business stunt out because they don't know what they're doing. You know, it's a system that can be followed and be successful with. And then you really work on that high level expertise, you know, over the first couple of years, 3 years. And a lot of our owners are pretty geeky. They love the organic science stuff, and they, you know, it's a real expertise, and it's fun. It's kind of like being a farmer or something like that.
Awesome. Cool. Well, I do want to be respectful of everyone's time. We did get through the questions that were asked in the chat. If there are other questions that you guys have on the chat, please feel free to reach out on our website, and we'll continue to answer those questions. Do you guys have any other final comments you want to make before we sign off?
I would just say that I've really enjoyed my my decision to come on board with Clean Air. Again, I looked at several franchise opportunities, and after speaking with Cal and now having, you know, entered my 4th year doing it, I don't have any regrets. I spent 25 years behind a desk working in the legal industry, consulting with lawyers and general counsels. There's maybe no bigger shift into, you know, this line of business. But I haven't looked back. It's been a really fun ride. It's fun having the autonomy, while at the same time getting the support, you know, when I need it. And you get to work outside. You're not chained to a desk, and you can go visit with customers still. You can rely on your business savvy and your chops while also picking up a shovel and digging a hole, you know. So there's a good blend of lots of different components to being a business owner here.
Awesome. Thanks. Well, then have a great rest of your day, guys. It was a great chat.
Thanks, all.